Welcome. We have a great show for you today. This is Streetpreneur Podcast. This is our first annual episode, and we have a very special guest in the house today. She's a serial entrepreneur, also a brand strategist, as well as a branding coach, and her name is Mrs. April Love.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to Streetpreneurs Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
I'm excited.
Can you do a brief introduction and just tell everybody exactly what it is that you do?
Oh, wow.
I know you're a serial entrepreneur.
I know. Where do I even start?
Where do you start?
I love that you prefaced it like that, though. I'm a serial entrepreneur. My name is April Love. As you just said, I have over 20 years in the industry. And when I say industry, I mean across industries. I started out in entertainment. Well, actually, I started out in public relations, in corporate. Okay. But I was always interning and hosting events. So entertainment has always been running through my blood. So I ended up having an amazing internship at Sony Studios, Sony in New York, and it kind of changed the whole trajectory of everything I wanted to do. I was like, whoa, this is what I've seen all my life, on television and everything, and I'm like, I actually have access to it. So it led me to, internships with Flavor Unit, working with Flavor Unit, then meeting Dallas Austin, working with Dallas Austin, working with Universal. So working through the music industry in many different facets. And also, eventually, the music industry had a shift, and streaming came in, and then I was able to kind of, move into the television and film realm, working with TV1 and BET. And as the world changes economically, I've always been an entrepreneur, because even when I was at people's businesses, I was telling them, like, why don't we try it like this? Until eventually it was like, okay, God said, go ahead. Go ahead and incorporate. So it was around 2010 that I launched my initial first business officially. And I would always work as a freelancer, but as in like putting up that LLC, 2010, I did Love Consulting. Then I eventually went on to formulate Ask April Love, LLC, and I was able to actually bring on a lot of those former, employers or people that I was contracted with as clients, like TV1, BET, Atlantic Records. And to today, I've recently launched Vanguard Creative, which is my production company. So I run 3 businesses, actually.
How do you have time?
You know what? I am the consummate user of the word bandwidth. Yeah. I love to say bandwidth, because even when someone's approaching me, because I know that for I said the majority of my adult career, I was stretching my bandwidth to like the 10th power, because I just want to get it all done. And being like someone who has, in my opinion, been gifted, blessed to be able to work in so many different areas, I started doing them all at one time. And I wasn't being mindful of like, come on, you are still a human being, but I enjoy it. It's not like I'm working at, somewhere I don't enjoy, like I'm over here working at FedEx, just to get a check, ready to clock out at 4:59. I don't ever have to clock out, and I mean that. When people look at me sometimes, who don't work in the realm of what I do, they don't understand that. They're saying like, well, you got to have self-care, you got to have balance. I mean, they don't understand how blessed I am to work, doing the work I love every day, choosing to who I want to work with, right. Choosing when I want to do it. So I've kind of like, changed that into that bandwidth is something that I just gauge personally, as in, can I take on this client? Can I take on this project? So I kind of just put it out there, though. I prayed about it, because I was, I really wanted the right people to align with me to really bring this vision to life. So I've been able to have some really great employees and contractors come aboard. And I think that's why now I've really been able to really scale like I couldn't do in years past. So Coming out of the pandemic, I had a whole different perspective.
Right. Let's touch back on branding again.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I know you're a brand strategy. What is the difference between a brand strategist and a branding coach, for those that don't know, and entrepreneurs out there who do need branding services? Can you just kind of break that down?
Okay.
The difference between the two, because people get it confused.
Yeah, very much
a lot of times. So just kind of tell us what the two elements are.
Okay. Well, this is what I'm going to say in my humble opinion. This is how because it's so many different. Branding became trendy as like kale.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, and people try to define it themselves, but there is a actual definition, so when it comes to someone's brand, their identity, it's a whole holistic look. If you see that red Target
You know.
You know that's Target. And when you go see the one in Dallas or you see the one in Los Angeles, it's going to be the same chroma key, the same color red, the same setup, the same buggies, the same, you know what I'm saying? Right. When you know that you're getting food and you're about to pull off at Chick-fil-A and they say, my pleasure, that's a part of their brand aesthetic. Right. So the branding is so key in actually taking your business to the next level, brand continuity. So I think the difference is every brand coach should understand strategy and be able to implement and execute strategy. Every brand strategist is not a coach. Everybody is not a coach. I don't know what's going on with all these coaching.
There's a lot of coaching.
All this coaching curriculums that's coming out left and right. Everybody's able to coach you from anything on how to become like, have a green thumb. Had plans to. It was just like people went into the pandemic and was like, I don't have to go back to work. I can teach people what I know. And then, so it kind of just got to be so flooded. And now people have a hard time really gauging what's legitimate and what's a scam. But a branding coach should have, first of all, a track record. They should have testimonials.
Right.
You should be able to go on LinkedIn and have really verifiable things that you can check in and see, well, who have they worked with? What kind of brands have they taken from, even if they were part of a team, because I've been a part of a lot of teams that have launched super brands. Mm-hmm. And so if you've been there and you know the tenets of, okay, I want to understand how to put together a brief for your brand. If you don't know like certain words and certain, ideologies for branding, then I would question, maybe you think you're good at it,
So how would you go from, if you have a new client, they want to go from concept, how would you just say put that plan together for that particular client? I'm just saying they might have a restaurant that they want to open. Mm-hmm. I'm similar to Slutty Vegan. I love her branding.
I do too.
So how could you what are some of the steps you would take to take a new startup company from no branding at all to branding to make it successful?
From ideation to execution.
Right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Just a few steps.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do, by the way.
Right.
I kind of don't like, I don't like coming in and repainting somebody's portrait. You know what I'm saying? I love when you just bring me a blank canvas and you have a great big idea and a budget. Because these big ideas with no budget.
Yeah. It takes money.
But it takes money. It doesn't take a lot of money, but it takes some money, That's right. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is build a brand that you can eventually monetize. And you cannot build something without investing in what you're trying to build.
That's right.
Okay, so if it were like, let's say a restaurant, which I love to work with them because I love, it depends on first of all, I'm going to say, well, who are you feeding? Okay, who is your audience? Who do you want to, because you can't feed everybody. Because think about like if Starbucks was starting from scratch today, you, like we spoke about before we started, you don't like coffee. So you wouldn't be their ideal customer, that you wouldn't be that ideal target avatar. So we'd have to figure out, okay, who are you feeding? Okay, Slutty Vegan, you're feeding, it's vegans. That ain't everybody. Okay, so what are your people, because we call them kind of like in the brand sector, crunchy granolas, they're tree huggers kind of thing. They're into plant-based living, they're into natural, they're into, I don't want to use these chemically, infused products and that sort of thing. Okay, that's your audience. You break down that audience so tightly that you understand if the first store, if it's going to be brick and mortar and it's going to go in Atlanta, where are these people? Where are these crunchy granolas? You know what I'm saying? Are they over in the West End? Are they over in, Little Five Points? You want to meet them where they are, You also talk about price point, We talk about, well, what is it? Is your food going to be economically, for the mainstream? When you see those things on Yelp and stuff, it's like $1 sign or is it $4 signs? $4 signs is not going in the West End. So we talk about that. So we break down who that top three. Right. Those avatars are. We put those little people up. She's a mom. She's a part-time yoga instructor. She's a new vegan. Okay. So what does she do? Would you maybe partner with a gym? So we break down who they're feeding. Okay. Where are they feeding them at? And how do we align with them in that? Because you're not trying, I tell people all the time, they go, I want to be on the cover, and they start naming all these national publications, global publications. Right. You gotta start somewhere first. And then you scale. You start to, so we would spend a lot of time really trying to drill down on who that client is, who they want to tap into. Because you don't wait, especially a restaurant. Right. I've noticed with working with them, what they don't do is take into consideration they'll have the best food, they'll have the best, they might even find a great location, and they leave so many minimal dollars for marketing.
As well as customer
acquisition?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's important. And you need to understand all that because you need to say, well, hey, if I only have 20% of my budget left for marketing. We got to spend that wisely. So we need to spend time in strategy, figuring out what's the best way to do that. And if we need to get the people, like if it's another startup gym close by, then say, hey, everybody who's a member of your gym gets 10% off of, to get them in, and then they'll tell a friend and get them to do testimonials. So it's just so many ways, but it starts with that client, that customer, that consumer.
Right. Can you talk to us about the Pink Awards? We know that's something that's dear to your heart, and it touches a lot of people who have overcome breast cancer themselves and who are going through currently at this time breast cancer. Can you tell us what inspired you to start the Pink Awards and just kind of give us the backstory of how it all came together?
Okay.
And, let's get into it.
Nice. Oh, man, thank you for allowing me to share about that, because it is very dear to my heart. Because as I mentioned a minute ago, I was starting officially my business 2010, even though I'd been working, but I was ready to rock and roll. I had my office space, my first employee. So we were really, just really looking forward to a lot of 2010 initiatives. And I'm going to take you back to 2009, right at the holiday season. I am one who is, I am a firm believer in keeping up with your appointments, keeping up with, your physicals. And I'm just an advocate for health on that perspective, like knowing what's going on in your body. Right. So I had my, my regular little exam, it was the end of the year, and it was Black Friday, only appointment I could get. And I ended up having to go in for, just a regular physical. And my doctor, who I will forever be indebted to and love, my primary care, we were there for just a physical. And she sent me in for, she said, I'm going to, we were getting something else checked in radiology, but she was like, I want to get you a mammogram. Now, mind you, I was still in the mindset that mammograms and things like that were, something that you do when you're older, because I wasn't 40 yet. Wow. And, it's kind of not covered in insurance until you're 40, because you think that's your grandma's issue or your great aunt or somebody. And so I was like, okay, fine. I ended up, fast forward going to that appointment. And I was such in a rush to get out of there because I had, it was Christmas season. Right. And so when I went in there, I initially was getting the other thing I was getting done for radiology, and it was leaving. I had forgotten. I wasn't thinking about a mammogram. And I went back to the girls at the counter. It was two girls. And I said, hey, I was supposed to get a mammogram. And they were like, why are you getting a mammogram? I don't see it. And they did finally see it. And they were like, well, why are you getting that? Did you feel something? I was like, no. They were like, are you having issues? I was like, no. They was like, well, you want to get it? I was like, something in me immediately said, do it. Right. So I did it. And I went back in there. It was a room full of I always say it was a room full of grandmas in there. It was all pink, and it was ribbons everywhere, and it was full. Right. Everybody was in there getting this stuff. Right. And within I did it. I was like, dang, this hurts. This is nothing to look forward to. I went back in the room, and they wouldn't let me leave. And I was like, what? Mm-hmm. So everybody, kind of left one by one, and I was the only one sitting there, me and one other older lady, and I was like, why am I still here? She came to me and said, the radiologist wants to talk to you. They want to show me my scan. Mm-hmm. I was like, this doesn't sound like something I heard that people do. They get their mammogram and go home.
Your heart beating fast.
Beating fast, because I'm like, what? She's like, you see this area right here? And she pointed it out, and I was like,
showing you.
It was oblivious to me. I don't look like whatever. Right. And she was like, that's concerning. What? We're gonna biopsy. And I don't know what a biopsy is. So now I got to go to Google. Like, what you mean biopsy? Right. So I ended up doing all of the steps and whatnot, and it was the craziest thing ever. That I got the craziest call ever on Christmas Eve. And it was the doctor, the surgeon who had done my biopsy. And she was like, it's what I was, afraid of. She was like, it is. And she's telling me over the phone. First of all, she said, is someone with you? Are you sitting down? What?
Oh, Lord.
What now?
Yeah.
No and no.
Right.
I'm like, just tell me what's going on. And you're telling me over the phone. I don't think they even do that anymore, but they told me over the phone. And she said, it's cancer. It seems, it's pretty large, pretty advanced. We need to get you back in here right away. I'm like, it's the day before Christmas. What? Right away. And so the whole journey began, the whole thing. Yeah, I got in there. I was like, it was stage 3 ductal carcinoma. And I want people to understand there are different areas of breast cancer, different levels of breast cancer. Mine was an hormonal. Estrogen receptive, which is I'm telling mothers and I'm telling young girls that whole thing about taking the, estrogen or whatever, birth control to get your period regulated, it's bull. Do not do that. Do not surge your body with estrogen as a young woman, because you're setting yourself up for failure, because estrogen is dangerous. It's a lot of synthetic estrogen and things like that get in your body and just live for years and start contaminating cells with men too. That's all. I mean, cancer is just a bad cell.
Yeah, it is.
So if you don't,
prostate cancer.
Yeah,
deal with.
Yeah, and I hate that with prostate, colon, and pancreatic, the ones where you don't know until you're at stage 4, because it's non-symptomatic. And you don't really just go in like, just see if I have any kind of early stages of pancreatic cancer in my body. No, you don't. So it's important for us. And the thing is, what I'm so excited about, because I did have a whole thing. Like, they gave me the result. It took me 2 months to come back and start treatment because I was in shock, denial, disbelief. What's going on? I'm trying to start my business. I got a lot going on. I'm going to the Grammys. What is happening? What do you mean?
Like, Lord, why did you allow this to happen at this time?
It's gonna happen when I'm working for myself too, not when I'm on the job. When I have that kind of coverage. It was no Obamacare. So I was just like, what in the world? Am I going to do?
So during that period of time, where would you say you drew your strength from to overcome it? Was it family, your support group? Was it,
God sent the right people. Okay. God sent the right. It happened because what? It's so funny because it took me about a year to understand, like, this is really a gift. And people thought I was crazy saying that. I'm like, no. And it was right at the onset of me launching into my entrepreneurial journey. It was right at the onset of me making some really, really decisions about my life overall, personal, professional. It slowed me down. It sat me down. They have pictures of me, like, with my laptop at chemotherapy, like, and guess what's the first thing I planned in chemotherapy? Pink in December. Okay. Pink in December. So I had a party. And the thing is, I had lost 40 pounds. I had never worn a wig in my life. This is somebody who has never been sick. Like, I ain't never had a tonsil removed. I never had a broken bone. Right. So to go from never having hospital stay, I had pneumonia when I was 2 years old, which I didn't remember. Right. And that's it. That's the only time I had gone into a hospital for me. And then fast forward to me, go right to cancer, stage 3.
Pretty dramatic.
Yeah. Right. So mentally, it had to be a God thing, because I could not have in my own strength dealt with that. And no matter how supportive people are going to be with you, your closest person, your significant other, if they've never gone through that, they can only offer so much support. Because I was like, take off both of the breasts, leave a breast on, do the chemo first, do the surgery first. It was just decisions that I had to make. And the oncologists are just there to give you direction. They're not no bedside manner or anything. So I was able to actually, find some real healing modalities that to this day, and that's kind of like what I talk about on my podcast that I'll share with you later, but I talk about how you are in this world of chaos and anxiety, and people aren't doing things they want to further their career or get to the bag, but they're not thinking about this body, this mind.
Health is very...
Yes, oh my God. So thank God I finally found a patient navigator, which I make sure that all people that are diagnosed, male or female, understand that they get the right to have a patient navigator, somebody to take you through all of this, because your family can't do it, your husband, your wife can't do it, your kids can't do it. Somebody who's trained, somebody who knows about other opportunities to put you in front of, like support groups.
Support group.
Yeah, I had Tai Chi, things I hadn't done before. I was doing Qigong, I was doing all kind of things, meditation. I learned about breath work and mindfulness. So and this is stuff I practiced post my illness. So it became a whole lifestyle for me, which is why I was able to come on the other side of it, And so in the middle of that, like you were asking me about the Pink Awards, I became very strengthened. By the time I was in radiation, I was like, they would wait for me to come, because we would all come in there. We'd know each other. We're all on our little tables, or our little chairs, getting our infusions and things like that. And, I would come in there and I was like the comedian of the room. Like, what are you doing? How's it going? What's going on with that bonnet? Just it became something where I felt like we had to encourage each other and not feel like, oh my God, are you going to die first? I'm going to die first. Because I'd already decided this wasn't going to kill me. Like, that was not even an option. Right. It was going to definitely be a testimony and a launching pad for me. So
definitely. Well, I'm glad you overcame, and you're a living testimony to a lot of people who are dealing with breast cancer.
Every day. Right.
So as far as the Pink Awards, can you
Yes.
tell us the steps to planning an event of that magnitude? What are
Yes.
some of the steps to get it going?
Okay. Well, like I said, it started with Pink in December, which is something I put together for an opportunity to bring people together to celebrate life. Because I'm a firm believer that we can't just think about breast cancer in October. Nope, we cannot. Somebody's being diagnosed every hour, so we can't just think about it then. So I wanted to do it in December, which is kind of commemorative of when I was actually diagnosed. And so it started to just really grow on its own. People started to really support. And then we started supporting women, families, and we had a couple men too, over the holidays, because at the end of the day, what I realized, all these people walking for Komen and ACS, none of the money is getting to us who's in treatment. What they're doing is getting us better, like, drugs, better research.
I always wondered about that.
Not if
Raise
no.
billions of dollars.
Yeah, but you still, like, at the end of the day, Georgia Power and your rent, they don't stop. Your kids don't stop needing to go back to school and get stuff. The kids don't stop eating, and you still have to go to treatment. And so we wanted to be able to cover at least the holidays for these women. And I wanted to grow to be bigger, which is why I was like, okay, it's time to level this thing up. So I've done Pink in December every year since my diagnosis, even when I was completely sick.
So how many years has it?
Well,
This is
no, this will be my 10th year,
10th year, okay.
of not of Pink Awards, but of doing Pink in December, of 10 years of me coming on the other side of my my journey, but 10 years of survivorship. And then this will and I did the Pink Awards smaller, but this year we're taking it to the next level. It's going to be at the Riverside Epicenter, and it'll be the 5th year. I've separated the Pink in December thing and made Pink Awards its own
brand.
Big thing, yeah. Because people, like I said, God will bring the right people, So people are like, you need to take this to TV, and you need to, And I'm like, that's fine, because it's a night of Black excellence, because we give awards to not only survivors, but people that are doing amazing things to change the world. But at the end of the day, we're consistently telling you that before there was a COVID-19, we were in a health crisis, especially in our community. Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, every form of cancer, and breast cancer. So we keep, drumming that information into, in the midst of having amazing performances and awards and a reception. The underlying message is, hello, wake up. Yeah. We got to do better,
So at this point in time in your life, would you say if you have accomplished everything that God has set for you to do? Or do you still have more work to do?
Oh, my God. I got so much more work to do.
Yeah.
I always quote Miles Monroe, like, you better leave here empty. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking anything. It would be a disservice and a discredit to God for even trusting me with the vision he's given me to not execute. And sometimes it's frightening. Sometimes I want to just sleep I want to go to bed. Like, I want to do that. What's that book? The 8-hour work week or something? I can't remember the name of it, but
4-hour work.
4-hour work week. And I'm like, I can't even do 4 hours in a day. But to whom much is given, much is required. So I'm up for it. But I feel like, I just trust that my years will be extended, so I will have an opportunity to really just, just rest and lay by the beach. But not now, not anytime soon. I got books to write. I got content to put out with my production company. I have people like you to align with, the further in the message, because we have enough garbage. Shade room and all this other things. We need to really have a balance.
So your
content.
Production company, we hadn't touched on your production
Oh,
company.
yeah.
Can you tell us about
Sure.
Vanguard and
Yeah.
what are some of the services you offer? And
Yes, of course.
Vanguard?
Vanguard Creative Group. It is a full-service turnkey production company, and we basically service our clients. What I've always done is production services. I've worked with Swirl Films, and I've done stuff with Jesse Collins and different production companies for these. I've always worked award shows, BET Awards, Stellar Awards, doing different things for like BMI Awards. So I was like, this is my space, live events, special programs. And so instead of being like, providing services, I'm going to launch my own company, because I would come in with a whole team. And so I realized, that was my next as a producer, an executive producer. And not to mention, I have a strong yearning to put out some more responsible, informative content.
Yes.
Okay?
It's needed.
Yeah, I don't just want to do content. And the thing is, I'm so happy that I work in that trifecta of music, television, and film. I have an artist, Raish, who's on Atlantic Records, It's Raiche. Check her out. And I like to, and she has amazing music. I used to manage PJ Morton. So I've always worked with really, really incredible artists too. Right. Not just, people would come to me and say, which is why I launched my business too, because when you're at a label, you're gonna work with whoever they say work with. So yeah, he got 14 Tech 9s in the video, but promote him to the kids. No, I'm not doing that. So I'm able to really like handpick, the clients and that sort of thing. Yeah. In the same way with the content, in the same way with, and now Vanguard is actually developing the Pink Awards as our initial property.
That's your in-house.
Mm-hmm, that's my in-house. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Developed, created for us, by us. And yes, I will align with a broadcast partner, but at the end of the day, we will remain and retain owners of that brand.
Ownership of the brand. Mm-hmm. All right, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
I'm excited. Right. But I'm looking to, I'm looking for Vanguard to be as big as the rest, Right.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to believe in it.
Absolutely.
Nobody else believe in it. You have to believe in it.
Yeah.
Definitely. So tell me about your new podcast.
Oh,
that
man.
You currently have under development. Well, you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, not a while. I'm actually still under development. We're still rolling it out. I still have, some episodes to put in the can, but it's called Just Breathe with April Love. And
why Just Breathe?
Oh my God, because I feel like, everybody was holding their breath during the pandemic. I don't know if, we're going to come out of this. So many people were terrified. So many people were like, it built up so much anxiety in the world globally that's why we had to go into this whole big mad trend of mental health, because people were like suicidal, popping pills, drinking, just really looking for a way to self-medicate. And I was like, why don't you just breathe? Just breathe. And so we go into stories of people who are excelling at what they do, because I do interviews, but I also talk to people a lot about these things that sometimes they just don't know about, like these different healing modalities, and about the fact that breathing is one of the most nurturing things we can do for ourselves.
Kind of go into mental health.
Yeah, mental health, absolutely. Physical health. Right. We talk about, why it's important for you. If you say, look, I want to, have this multi-million-dollar business and I want to travel the world, and you over here popping, your high blood pressure and your diabetes, insulin, and you're about 312 pounds, you don't know how far around the world you're going to go. So it's about, come on, take accountability for what you desire and align with it, so you're able to actually execute it, But we put in we talk in a narrative format. We really get into, I've had some amazing guests on there that share their story of, just restoration in their marriage and just different things. But professional people have real personal issues that they found solutions for, that can in turn show other people how they can do it too. So just breathe. Put yourself.
I like the name. I like the concept.
Yeah.
Yes. So what's new? Any new? Well, you've already told me some of your new developments, so I'm sure you're working on some other projects that you want to tell us about.
Yes, I have The Gathering, which is another property. We're doing that October 30th, actually, the first one at Terminal West. And I'm going to be hosting that with gospel artists Isaac Curry and Darlene McCoy Jackson from 102.5. We're going to have Chrisette Michelle and Rudy Currents and Chris Cooper, who's one of Tony Robbins' coaches. We're going to have like a vendor's marketplace, like Black Wall Street style, because the event is like, I don't want to say it for people that, some people, I don't want to say it, but I'll say it. Some people are just tired of the church model. Not to say that you don't want to go to church, you can go to church, but you feel like it's just, everything in the world, all of it's topsy-turvy, upside down. And this is an environment where you can find your tribe of people who are marketplace influencers. And you could still be a believer. You could still be rooted in the desire to have wealth and abundance. Right. But you want to come together with like-minded individuals. And I want to bring you in an environment where you can support small business. You can hear these amazing artists and entertainers. You can see live TED Talk style conversations. And we're going to have music, we're going to have brunch. It's going to be great. We're going to have a DJ. And I'm going to do a live taping for my Just Breathe there with Gerald and Tammy Haddon.
Live podcast.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when is the Pink Awards?
The Pink Awards is February the 25th.
We definitely want to look.
The last Saturday, absolutely, the last Saturday in February. The website is thepinkawards.com, right, Nicole? I was like, wait a minute, thepinkawards.com. Yep, you can get more information there, get involved, volunteer. And we're definitely looking for some survivors, because we do like, those are the VIPs that night, you know, the people who have survived and have a story to tell. We have a beauty suite for them. We have, you know, reserved seating for them. Okay. So just like they do for the celebrities.
How can someone reach out if they want to sponsor?
Right on that site.
That event.
Mm-hmm, right on that site, thepinkawards.com. And you can follow me at Ask April Love, at Ask April Love on Instagram. Well, I'm at Ask April Love on everything, Twitter, everything. But if you hit me on Instagram, I have a link fire in my bio that has all of my contact information. And that's for the gathering. That's for the Pink Awards. That's for my branding, coaching, all of that.
All of it. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So is there any other closing remarks you want to make that you want to tell any aspiring entrepreneurs or someone who has survived breast cancer or currently has breast cancer?
Just leave a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But just leave us, on a word of inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. Okay, I have 2 sets. This set is for the entrepreneurs, okay, the people that are called to serve the world. They have a vision. I feel led to just tell people, make sure you're an entrepreneur for real. Make sure that that's what you're supposed to be doing. Or are you supposed to be supporting someone else's vision? Because I've seen a lot of people that have come to me for branding, and I've been honest. I said, you're not really ready to launch your business. We're looking at, you don't know who your avatar is. You don't really know what you're trying to sell. You just know that you want to be INC or LLC. Right. That's trending too. And I don't want you to, put yourself out there. I don't know if you need to go and do some kind of personality test or some kind of assessment, because I do assessments with my clients, because I think people feel almost a pressure, because everything you look at on Instagram and
social media.
Even Beyonce quit your job, and if everybody's an entrepreneur, who's going to work for the entrepreneurs?
Right, that's true.
What you can do is align. I'm talking, because I say you don't really want this. I'm like, if you're not called to do it, you don't want this. Right. From the sense of financial, some kind of the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows.
Right.
As
they never tell you about the failure.
Exactly.
They don't mention how they wait to get paid. They don't mention about employees leaving. They don't mention about
employees betraying you, trying to take your clients. I mean, it's just so many things.
It's a lot.
That's why I love when Steve Harvey and Tyler Perry spoke at InvestFest. They kept it real. They were very honest. They have amassed wealth now, but it was not an overnight thing. But for those of you that are called to be entrepreneurs, by any means necessary, do not give up. What do you have to do to support yourself? I don't care if you got to be an entrepreneur that drives Uber on the weekend. If you know that you're called to do this, don't let anybody else talk you out of it. Consistency. Exactly. Stay consistency. Right. And if you're building a brand, keep continuity. Don't be blue today and orange tomorrow. Right. And then don't have a butterfly today and a tractor truck tomorrow. Like, what is your brand? Stick to your brand. Own your brand. Sell your brand. Every time you talk to somebody, talk up your brand. Don't be afraid. Open your mouth. Mm-hmm. A closed mouth does not get fed, and you will be hungry. True. So speak up your brand. Promote yourself. Don't let anybody tell you that's your ego. What it is your confidence. And for my sisters and brothers who faced the diagnosis months ago or may face it tomorrow, it is not until your death. That is a decision. We have to literally give up the ghost. What you're doing is building up you. You're building more to you, more to your story, more to what I'm able to overcome and how you'll be more of a blessing to this world. So just go through, don't go into delusion. If you've been diagnosed with it, face it head on, because I did not for at least almost 2 months, because it was a very scary thing. But find the people, find the support. It's out there. Find the navigators. As soon as you hear the diagnosis, or if you're in the middle of it right now, make sure you stay supported and just rest and just breathe, and you will be just fine.
Right. Just breathe.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be there 10 years from now talking about, when I was over here and all my hair fell out and I lost 40 pounds, but God, I'm on the other side, and I am grateful.
Right. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. Miss April Love definitely dropped some gems. And I hope someone is definitely inspired by this interview. May God bless it and allow thousands of people to hear it around the world.
Absolutely.
We want to thank you for coming out.
I want to thank you for having me, and may God continue to bless Streetpreneur Podcast.
Yes.
Tune in.
Both of us. Right. Thank
you so much.
Stay tuned for the next episode. And you also can watch us on YouTube at streetpreneurpodcast.com. Also go to the website to watch the latest episodes at streetpreneurpodcast.com, as well as IG, and look forward to seeing Ms. April Love interview on both and all distribution outlets. Thank you.
See you at the Pink Awards.
Thank you.